Unit 6 in the AutoCAD Civil 3D 2010 education curriculum addresses the topic of geospatial. In the first lesson, you learn how to use geospatial data. Exercise 1, you learn how to connect to raster image data. In exercise 2, you connect to raster DEM data. And then in exercise 3, you connect to vector data. To connect to data, you use the Data Connect utility, which is available in the Map3D Geospatial workspace of AutoCAD Civil 3D. The key to remember when connecting to data is that you are not duplicating data, you are actually connecting to the data source in its place, and you can edit that data if necessary. So raster image data is data representation with an array of squares or pixels. Each pixel has X value and a Y value, and also a third value which could be the color or the elevation. Aerial photographs, imagery, and digital elevation models are all part of raster data, and it can include things like scanned mapping. And here are some examples of raster data. This is a DEM, a digital elevation model. And here we have some aerial photographs. So you want to change the AutoCAD workspace to show the Map3D geospatial tools. You have the tool-based geospatial workspace, or you have the task-based geospatial workspace. And when you connect to the data, you create a connection name and then choose the data source. So let's go through this and we'll connect to raster data. So we have the drawing open here. We're now going to change the workspace to tool-based geospatial, and that will change the ribbon and the panels that provide the commands for geospatial related functionality. And here we have the Data Connect window already available to us as part of this particular workspace. If you click the Home tab and click Connect, or type Map Connect on the command line, this will display the Data Connect. So now we can add a raster image, and we can call this Aerial Photos. And you can either browse to the folder containing the aerial data, in which case multiple photos are selected using this button here, or you can use this button here to select a single file. So let's browse to a folder, and we'll go to the folder where all our data is located in the C drive, Education Curriculum. And if we go to the Unit 6 Geospatial Data folder, and under raster, and if we click OK, we can now connect to the data sources in that folder. And there are actually 4 raster images in that folder. So we can right click and select them all and add to map. So when we add to map, these images will be added to the map folder. Now, one thing to be aware of is if those data sources have a read-only attribute on them, you want to make sure that those read-only attributes have been removed. So let's just make sure that we modify the properties of these files and ensure that the read-only attribute has indeed been removed on these files. Otherwise, that will cause a problem. And if we connect to the data source again and choose raster and click OK, and we can then connect and then select all. So these are the 4 images, and we can then add to the map. And that will add the 4 aerial photographs to the drawing as connections. And you can see here it's executing the query. And there are the 4 aerial images that have been added to the drawing. Now if we click the View tab, we can choose Map Task Pane to display the Map Task Pane. And we'll close the Data Connect window. And here's the Map Task Pane, and here you can see now the 4 images. So if we were to turn one of them off, you can see how that's working. And we can turn them all back on as well. And if you right click, you can zoom to the extent of that particular data, and there's other functions that you can perform on the different layers in this particular drawing. In exercise 2, you learn how to connect to raster digital elevation model data, and let's go through that. So let's close this drawing here. We won't bother saving the changes, and we'll open up the drawing for exercise 2. And if we were then to go to the Connect window, there's your Data Connect, and we'll just call this DEM for raster image or surface connection, and we'll browse to a file this time, and let's go back up to the correct location for the data here. Into computer, C, and we'll just browse that location, data, and then DEM, and there's the DEM file. We can open that, and then in the Data Connect window now we can make the connection to the data. And once the connection has been made, we can then add that to the site, and once again make sure that you've removed the read-only attribute on the files if it does exist. So just go back to here, modify the properties, and make sure that the read-only attribute has been removed. And we'll try that connection one more time. So here it is, and we'll add the map, add to the map, and it will add the DEM data. And there's our digital elevation model data that we just connected to. And there's ways that you can shade this and analyze this in using map to be able to shade it based on elevation ranges. And in the final exercise, you connect to vector data using a shape connection, which is an Esri shape file. And that concludes the discussion on the first lesson, which addresses using geospatial data.